Stop filling yourself with excuses as to why you can't start. Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about the importance of just starting, regardless of the circumstances. Now look, there are times in life where before doing something new, before trying something brave, new and exciting, there are nerves. You know, maybe you want to start a new business venture, but it's something that you're not 100% confident about. So before you start, you've got some anticipation. There's some excitement, but of course there's some nerves. Maybe you're looking to build a social media platform and upload your first video. You know, there are going to be some nerves there. It's something new. But what I'm noticing particularly amongst the young men that I work with, that I'm friends with, and that I see generally, is that there is an epidemic of young guys that are convincing themselves of anything and everything as a justification for why they can't start. You know, with social media content creation, for example, the camera's not good enough. The setup is not good enough. You know, I don't have an editing software, I'd need to pay for that. And the excuses start piling up and piling up and piling up. And look, sometimes there are genuine excuses. Sometimes there are obstacles in the way that make things difficult. But in most cases, that is not the reality. And in most cases, they are just excuses because there is an underlying fear of starting. But the reality is, when you just start and when you just give it a go regardless, you improve in confidence and your ability to create and self-manage also improves. So I'll give you an example. I've made over 100 long format videos on this YouTube channel. And if you go back to the first video I made, there's clear evidence that, you know, in comparison to the videos that come out on a daily basis today, you can see that there's improvement. You can see that in the first video I make, my ability to convey my thoughts was not as strong as it is today. But you know, if I never started, and I never started building, and I never started building consistency, then I would not be in a position where I am today, where I have figured out how to do things quicker, better. You know, the setup is not a luxurious studio. I'm sat here in my apartment, in my kitchen, and I have a Bluetooth microphone and I'm filming on an iPhone. You know, but it works. You know, for me it works and I'm very happy with this setup. But if I, at the very start of making content and creating stuff online, had convinced myself that everything needs to be perfect, I would never have gotten myself in the position where I am today, whereby I have this consistency. So I say to you, look, if there is something that you want to do, stop listening to your own bullshit. Stop listening to all the excuses that your brain is coming up with, telling you, oh, well, you haven't got this yet, you definitely can't start, you haven't got that, you know, your lighting's bad, your camera's not good enough. Of course I had these doubts, you know, I had these doubts at some point, but you got to click the action button more times than you click the worry button, you know, because every time you click the action button, the worry button starts to diminish and, you know, your worries get less and less and less. Because every time you take action, you grow in confidence. Because look, you learn. Put something out there to the marketplace. Jim Rohn talks about how the marketplace will judge you. You know, you can produce and you can think that your work is terrible. But if the marketplace values your work more than you do and they think it's something special, it's not terrible. It's a good piece of work. So put your work and put yourself out to the marketplace and allow them to judge you. And stop worrying about all of these little tiny things. You know, if you look at some of the most successful people in history and ask yourself, on their first attempt at the thing that made them most successful, was everything perfect? Was it fully operational compared to today? No, absolutely not. They were nowhere near completion on the first day. and on the first attempt. So stop expecting the same for yourself. You are comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. You know, of course there are things that over time can be improved. You're going to see some improvements on this channel as things grow, as things progress. But sometimes, guys, you have to get started. And you have to stop listening to your own bullshit. Stop listening to your own excuses. Because this is your brain trying to convince you not to start. It's trying to convince you of anything and everything to get you away from doing this thing that deep down you want to do. And that's because maybe you're scared. That's because maybe you've got some fear. What if your third cousin sees the video that you make on YouTube? What if your uncle, who you've not spoken to for 7 years, finds out that you've tried to start a business? You start thinking about these little things that ultimately don't matter. And the reality is, when it does work for you and when it pays off and you become successful, all of those people that you were worried about finding out about your YouTube channel, finding out about your side hustle or your business, will come to you and they will congratulate you. And they'll tell you how proud they are of you. So look, all of these excuses and all of these things that you are scaring yourself with, they don't mean anything. Of course, it's not going to be perfect on the first go. You're not going to hit a home run. Maybe you will, it's possible. It's just not 100% likely. So be prepared to start slow. But the most important thing is that you start. The most important thing is that you get the wheels in motion. Because once you do that, you allow yourself to pick up a bit of momentum. And momentum can change the game. Can absolutely change the game. You know, once the car gets rolling, then maybe you can start thinking about getting that engine on. And when the engine's on, then you can start thinking about covering some real ground. You know, let's reframe the way that we see starting something. You know, don't be filling yourself with all of these negative belief systems, all of these worries, all of these concerns before you even start. Just give it a go. Make it a rule before you can come up with excuses. Give it a go first and see how you feel after you've tried. If you're interested in content creation online, make your first video. Make your first video, put it out there to the marketplace, put it out there to the universe, and see how you feel after you've uploaded it. It's probably not going to be the same feeling as beforehand. You probably make the video, post it online. Yeah, it's not amazing, but you know what? It wasn't too bad. It wasn't terrible. You have a good feeling about it. But if you just listen to those doubts and you listen to your own excuses, this will follow you. You know, if you adopt this way of thinking on one thing, you'll adopt this way of thinking on everything. And you'll become the guy who is just so concerned with risk. He's so terrified to take chances. Now, I am a person that believes in moderation. I don't think we should be diving into projects without any information, without any knowledge, without any research. All of that's important. But you don't want to be the guy who is just so petrified of anything different, who's so petrified of any change, of any risk, because then you reject growth, then you reject opportunity. And you have this life wherein you're very safe, you're very comfortable, but you're exactly that, you are comfortable. You're in your own little box. You're in your own little box and you stay there. And because you're in a box, you don't roll down the hill in the same smooth way as somebody who's sat inside a sphere. You know, they can glide down the hill. You're bouncing in your jagged, bumpy, lumpy box because you're so rigid and stiff. You know, so look, guys, if you're going to take one thing from this video today, of course, there are going to be concerns. Of course, there's going to be things that you think could be better at the start. But that's the same for anybody and everybody who's ever done anything great. The most important thing is that you ditch the excuses and justifications for why you can't start, and stop listening to your own bullshit and get going. You know, just start and then see how you feel. Put your work out there to the marketplace, let them judge you, and then see how you feel. But no more excuses, no more procrastination. And I guarantee you guys, if you start to adopt this mindset, your life's going to change for the better. And in many aspects as well, in many, many aspects. Look guys, if you took some value from this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel, and I want to grow the channel as much as I possibly can. Comment your thoughts down below, guys. If you are interested, join my free men's Discord community. The link is down below. And if you're interested in one-to-one coaching with me, hit the link in the description. Book yourself a slot, and I will see you on the other side. As always, guys, thank you for your time and attention, and I will see you in the next one.